Hello YouTube, it's me, TFL Wellness, and welcome to this month's end of month bot haul. Yes, this is the bot haul for February of 2020. And before I get started, I'd like to say an apology for not doing any reviews this month. The reason being is because I didn't send out for any international parcels because of that thing that's happening in the Far East. I mean, I've heard rumours that YouTube don't like you talking about the China and coronavirus thing that's going on. Yeah, I'm a bit worried about shipping in a parcel that's got contagious cooties all over it and contracting the virus that way. So I'm a bit reluctant to send out for international parcels, and that includes Korean parcels. And we just seen on the news that the C virus is now sweeping through Korea, and it's like, it's not looking good at the moment. And so it's probably going to take yet another month of, resisting the temptation to buy a package from a Far Eastern seller. I mean, it's been really cramping my collecting style this month, really has. So I've had to change my strategy quite a lot and buy stuff within the UK, and I reckon I've done quite well for myself. I mean, I managed to spend my entire budget pretty much, and I've got 16 items to show you today, and a few little stories that will be knitted into this month's haul video, so it might be a long one, so be prepared for that. But anyway, so let's get started, shall we? Now, beginning of the month, I noticed that you could get some of these Cyberverse Deluxe figures off Amazon. So I went on there and I bought one of them. And the character that I got is Cyberverse Deluxe Megatron. Now, he's alright, he's okay. I mean, these Deluxe figures, they've got extra articulation, they've got more transformation steps, and Megatron, in the case of Megatron, he's got a more accurate alt mode. I mean, the alt mode on this guy looks more screen accurate to all the other Cyberverse Megatrons they've done, and that's the principal reason why I got it. But they call it a Deluxe, but in terms of size comparison, I mean, here is a Warrior class. This is Megatronus from the RID line. He's a Warrior class figure, and you put them side by side, and he's not what you'd call a Deluxe size figure. So they're about the same size as the Warrior class figures. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I mean, also, when you look at him, I think his proportions are a little scrawny. He's got quite thin thighs and thin arms. And, he's not the usual, sort of bulky Megatron that we're used to seeing. He's a little bit on the anemic side, I think. But, yeah, he's a decent transformation. I know the alt mode's pretty good. So I bought him for, what was it, £20.99 off Amazon. So I noticed they've now got the Deluxe Grimlock in stock as well. So I'll be looking to pull the trigger on that if it's still in stock come the beginning of next month. Well, it will be tomorrow when you see this video, but I'm actually recording this video on Monday the 24th. The reason being is because I like to record these haul videos on the last day of the month, but on Saturday the 29th, I've been called into work to do some overtime, so I probably won't have enough time when I get home, 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, to sit down, record the video, edit it and upload it before, the 12 o'clock deadline. So what I've decided to do is record it ahead of time. Everything's in now, so I can get on with it, and that's what I'm doing. So yeah, the first thing that arrived, Cyberverse Deluxe Megatron. I mean, yeah, he came with that Build-A-Figure piece for Macadam, but I'm not really bothered about that. So, yeah, got him. He was the first thing that I got. Then, on Sunday the 9th, it was the NEC Toy Fair again. And, yeah, went to the first of this year's NEC Toy Fairs. Did my usual thing, got in there early with an early bird ticket. I noticed the price of the early bird ticket has gone up yet again. That's the third year on the trot they've put the price up. I mean, it was £10 for donkey's years, and then all of a sudden it went up to, I think it was £12, and then over the last couple of years it's gone to £13, and now it's £14. What it does is it allows you to get into the get into the event up to 2.5 hours early. Can get you in from, I think it's 7 a.m. onwards, and the public comes in at 10:30. So you can get in early while people are still setting up, and you can walk around before the crowds come in, buy your stuff, and be out the door before they let the general public in at 10:30. I prefer to do that. You might think, it's a couple of quid dearer than the general admission, but I think it's worth it for what you actually get. You get the chance to get first pick of the crop of things for sale. And also the NEC, part of the deal they have with the NEC is that you don't pay for car parking, which is good, because usually when you go to the NEC, they charge you like 12, 16 quid for just parking in their car parks at events. So yeah, and you only get one of these stickers if you're an early bird ticket holder. So, and in previous years, I've been doing a thing of collecting them. So there's the ones for 2019. And there's the ones for 2018. So I'm doing a sticker sheet for this year as well, which I'm going to fill in hopefully as I go to the various events. But anyway, what did I get at this NEC Toy Fair in February? Well, I got there, had a walk round, met my mate Richard. I'd seen a few things, pretty slim pickings this time round. There wasn't a lot that sort of jumped out at me. Space Bridge was there, but they didn't have their huge stall that they usually had, and they had it wasn't all Transformers on their stall. They had a lot of like other stuff, because obviously they've been to the event before with a huge large Transformers stand and probably didn't do quite as well as they thought. So they mixed in like they had a bunch of Lego stuff and Star Wars stuff and other stuff on their stall, which obviously would have been fairly popular for people to buy. But anyway, I was walking around. I like to walk around first to get an idea where everything is and then start making purchases. But the first thing I went, it was actually after I sat down and had my cup of tea with my mate Richard, and then we parted company because he had to go and see his friend and I wanted to get around. And I went back to a stall in the middle for a figure that I'd seen, and it was this guy, Energon Snowcat. I thought his name was Ice Pick. I'm getting mixed up with that Power Core Combiners version. But yeah, decided to get this. The thing about Energon is the Autobots are all mauled by that stupid Power Links gimmick where they turn into a shirt or a trousers and combine together. The Decepticons haven't got that. And it's a good thing too, because a lot of the Decepticon figures are half decent. So yeah, Snowcat is pretty cool. Turned into a white half track. He came complete with his missiles, and he's got that interesting thing that these flaps fall down to form a pair of skis, which is quite cool, even though it doesn't come with any ski poles. Or can he use the missiles as ski poles? No, he can't. Oh well, never mind. But yeah, he's a cool little figure. He's quite dusty. He's got a lot of that really sticky dust that you get sometimes, where dust collects in an atmosphere, and so he really needs taking apart and a good wash. I quite like the fact he's got a working windscreen wiper, and when you actually look at the moulded plastic on the windscreen, you can probably see there's like a smooth bit for the swept. The swept area of the wiper blade, and the rest of it's got like this almost like textured section to look like frost. It's quite cool effect. So yeah, I got him. He was I think 10 quid, so broke me duck with him. And then I went back to another stall that I'd seen, and a figure that I'd seen at the December one, but I didn't buy it because it was kind of pricey. But I think the price was a little bit more reasonable this time round. Arms Micron Swerve from the Takara Transformers Prime line. Now this is the breakdown mould repainted as Autobot Swerve. Now I would admit I would prefer this to have been the breakdown version rather than the Swerve version, but I had a look online to see the prices the breakdown one goes for, and yeah, 200 quid, 300 quid, 500 quid. There was even somebody at the time, not now, but there was somebody at the time asking over £1,000 for a boxed, you know, Arms Micron breakdown. It's like, are you joking? Anyway, great mould, you know, really cool transformation, and it came with the Arms Micron dude, which turns into a disc cutter. You know, like a petrol disc cutter. I mean, I've got one in the shed at the top of the garden, a Pardner K1250. It's a big, you know, petrol-powered disc saw. You can cut through concrete blocks with it. You can cut through rails with it if you wanted to, if you've got the right bracket and blades to go with it. It doesn't run, unfortunately. It's got some sort of fault where, you know, you go to start it up and it runs for a few seconds and then dies. I don't know what's going on with it. Anyway, so the Arms Micron got that. Now, I was because it came with the box, and all the, you know, because it's a Takara figure, all the text on the box is all in Japanese, and I wanted to know what the name of this guy was, and I had to go online to look it up, and actually the Arms Micron's names are the first two letters of the character's name. So in case of Swerve, this guy's called SW, but apparently the Japanese have a bit of a problem pronouncing the W or W sound, and it comes out as Su. So S-O-U. So this guy is called Sue. They should have called him Ripsaw. That would have been a much better name for him, I think. But he's a pretty cool little figure. I mean, they come in kit form and you make them up. But yeah, so I got him and he was 45 quid, which when I looked online was roughly about the going rate what this guy goes for. I mean, even the Silas breakdown version, that still goes for over 100 quid. So, you know, this can be an expensive mould to get hold of. So I'm glad I got this version, even if it isn't my preferred choice of character. Then next, wandered around again and picked up another figure that I'd seen while I've been walking around. G1 Outback. Now, you might notice there's a bit of a theme going on this month with Outback, because last month I got my first Outback with the New Age William Bonnet as part of that 2-pack with the Hogan, their Brawn, and it reminded me of Outback and his appearance in the G1 comic, which I quite enjoyed, and we'll get back to that in later on in the haul. Yeah, so I decided, you know what, I'm going to pick this guy up because G1 Outback, he's a pretty good character, and so I wanted to get an example of him. So I picked him up. I think he was he £5? I can't remember. Yeah, I think he was a £5. And then I was wandering around and I had about 45 quid left, and I thought, well, what can I buy? What can I buy? And then I stopped at the Space Bridge store and I was having a look, and I saw they'd got some of the Studio Series Deluxe, Studio Series Voyagers and Leader Class figures at the back of the store. They were doing them doing the leaders for about 40 quid, and I was looking and I saw this figure and I thought, yeah, okay, I'm going to go for that. And it's this. Studio Series Dark of the Moon Leader Class Megatron. Now, I've got two words that can describe this figure. Buyer's regret. Yeah. Now, I've been on the fence of getting this guy for quite a while. When I heard that they were doing a Leader Class Dark of the Moon Megatron, I was quite excited because out of the first 3 movies, Megatron from Dark of the Moon is my favourite design of Megatron. I mean, Megatron for the first 2 movies, he's just like a Cybertronian robot and a Cybertronian jet and a Cybertronian tank. He doesn't really look like anything. And yet in Dark of the Moon, he takes on this amazing, you know, Mad Max style tanker truck, you know, it looks amazing. It looks awesome. His robot mode looks pretty cool as well. We got the Dark of the Moon Voyager figure out of it, which is a really good figure. Unfortunately, it's only a Voyager, and you know they did a Leader Class Optimus for Dark of the Moon, but they didn't do a Leader Class Megatron. They only did it as a Voyager figure, which was really disappointing. So I was kind of hoping this thing would make up for it, but sadly not. Now I'd heard rumours of people saying that this is a pretty good figure, and the reason why I hadn't got it up to now was I wasn't too impressed with the way they'd wrapped bits of the truck around his legs to form his shins, and it just looks a bit, the fact they've wrapped the truck cab around his shins to form his lower legs. I don't like that. Yeah, where to start? Right, transformation. Now I did that thing whereby I tried to transform it out of the box, because it came in robot mode, out of the box, into truck mode without instructions. I did it, off the cuff, al fresco, whatever, and the truck cab's quite easy. Doing the legs is quite easy. Doing the shoulders is quite easy. And there's a bit of parts for me. You have to unhook this big grey piece at the back, and he's got that chain thing wrapped around his chest, which you have to unplug, and then. But it was getting the arms and the legs all crammed into the back of the truck mode. I struggled like hell trying to get this thing transformed, and in the process, I might have damaged some of the pegs for it. So when I finally got it into truck mode, it wouldn't peg together properly, and I had such a bad experience transforming this thing that I hate it. I really regret buying this thing. It's a horrible thing. It's awful. I hate this thing. The robot mode is okay, I suppose. If you look at it like that, it's all right. But then you look at these boxy legs he's got. No. Did not enjoy this thing at all. But like I said, in fumbling around trying to transform it, I burned over a couple of pegs. It's mainly the getting the spine of the truck mode clipped in. There's these two little pegs in the middle, and I burned them over, and it just would not peg together, and it sort of is what holds the whole truck together on the top, and it just wouldn't have it. And also the chest piece, when you're transforming back into robot mode, the chest piece does not plug in anywhere. It just sort of folds up and rests there, and you hold it in place with this stupid plastic chain thing you wrap around his neck and hook onto the backpack. No, not impressed. Had a really bad experience trying to transform it, so yeah. Buyer's regret, baby. Buyer's regret. It's not often I say that with a figure, but definitely with this thing. Right, so that was the NEC Toy Fair out of the way. So just stick that on there, and I got to start with this year's sticker sheet for my NEC Toy Fairs. Right, so that's that done. Okay, next. Right, now. Then I booked a week off work. Monday the 10th to Friday the 14th of February. And I decided that I wanted to go to Comic Connections in Banbury to go see my mate Richard. Now, Richard was the guy who used to be my comic guy when I used to get my comics from Spartown Comics at the White Horse pub at the top of town. But in November, the local comic shop here in Leamington, Collectors Assemble, they basically did a merger with Collectors Assemble did a merger with Comic Connections Banbury, and they absorbed Spartown Comics into Collectors Assemble. And since then, I've had trouble with my subscription from, Collectors Assemble. Now, I wanted to go and see my mate Richard and have a chat with him. So I rang him up and says, hello. He says, this is Comic Connections in Banbury. How can I help you? Yes, is Richard there, please? I'm afraid he doesn't work here anymore. Oh, sorry to have bothered you. Goodbye. Put the phone down. Right, so my mate Richard has quit Comic Connections in Banbury. Now, that led me to make the decision that I was going to cancel my comic subscriptions with Comic Connections. Now, Comic Connections is a comic shop in the town where I live, Leamington, and here's a picture of it. And like I said, they've been going for about 4 or 5 years. They've been going. You go into their shop and it's all Marvel comics, DC comics, and pop vinyls, and a few other sort of like superhero related merchandise. They seem to be doing quite well. There's about 2 or 3 blokes that work there. There's the 2 main guys who started it up, and they've got another guy called Ewan, a Scottish guy who's got like a moustache, and he helps out in the stall on the other days. But because Comic Connections in Banbury was part owned by Sid Beckett, see no kibble. He decided to sell his share in the shop, and apparently he's emigrated to Bulgaria because he doesn't like what's going on with Brexit, as is his wont, and fair play to him for doing that. But yeah, so it left that Comic Connections were a bit of struggling a little bit, and then there was a bit of a thing going on. They were talking to the guys at Collectors Assemble, and they decided to come in and merge the two shops together. Collectors Assemble coming to help Comic Connections out, and they took over. And as a result, Spartown Comics, which was being run by Comic Connections in Banbury, now come under the auspices of Collectors Assemble. And I don't know what happened. I do not know what happened when my Spartown Comics subscription was transferred over to Collectors Assemble. Something got lost in translation, because ever since then I've had trouble with my subscriptions. They haven't been getting the comics in that I want. When I go into the shop and say, have you got anything for me? They say they haven't got anything in my subscription box, and yet you look on the shelf next to the counter and there's the comic, the next issue of the comic there on the shelf. They have it in stock, but they just haven't added it to my subscription box. And also, what was the other thing? Yeah, they were supposed to email me to say when they'd got the comics in stock, and they only did it once out of since November, December, January, and then February the 10th when I cancelled my subscription. So from the back end of November to the 10th of February, I only got 3 comics out of them. And yeah, so I went in on the 10th and said to the guy, I'd like to cancel my subscriptions, please. And he was all right about it. I basically told him I haven't been enjoying the latest Transformers comics since they rebooted the franchise, since they did away with the old IDW continuity and started this new one, which is more tied in with the current toy lines. The bold new era, the storyline's been really grating and really slow going. It's had its moments, don't get me wrong, but I've just not been impressed by it. It's not been interesting me or exciting me. It's just been grinding along, and the toy line's overtaking it. The toy line's now moving into Earthrise, so Siege is finished, and yet the comic's still on the Siege story arc. It's so grinding along. And then they did that thing with Rubble character. They created this brand new character, and then a couple of issues later they killed him off, just as used as a plot device to start off that feud between Bumblebee and Barricade. Anyway, so yeah, I've not been enjoying the comics, which really I haven't. And the other thing that I lament and miss was the little chit chat I used to get with my mate Richard at Spartown Comics at the Royal Pug, because he was a fellow Transformers fan, and me and him got on like a house on fire. We used to chit and chat about current events in the world of Transformers for like 15-20 minutes every time I went up to get my comics. But then Collectors Assemble happened, and I go into their shop and they know nothing about Transformers, absolutely nothing, and I can't talk to them about it. It's just a cold transaction. Go in there, you got any comics for me? Yeah, here you go, pay for it, and out you go. But anyway, so yeah, I went in, cancelled my subscription. The guy was all right about it. I said to him I just wasn't enjoying the comics, and he took that as my reason, even though there were other reasons why I cancelled, mainly because these guys just couldn't handle my subscription for some reason. I don't know what was wrong with it. I don't know why my subscription just wasn't working with their subscription system. It just wasn't working with them, and I decided enough was enough. I'm going to quit these comics. And I went in there, and because I prepaid, the last time I went in, I prepaid an extra £3 for the next comic, because apparently they have this system whereby they like you to pay for when you start a subscription with them, they like you to prepay for the next comic. So instead of buying one comic, you actually pay for 2 comics. You pay an extra payment for the next comic on the line. That way, when you cancel your subscription, they will just get in the next issue, and then they can cut your subscription off. But I was due issue 16, and I went in there, and the same thing happened as happened before. I said, hey, have you got one in my subscription box? And he says, no, we haven't got one. And then I looked on the shelf next to the counter, and there was issue 16. So yeah, so this is the last comic I'm going to buy from IDW. Well, of their their current lines. I only got to issue 3 on Galaxies. I know Galaxies, it seems to be like an alternative where they have like mini story arcs. I mean, I think issue 4 was the last of the Devastator or the Constructicons arc, and then from issue 5 they was going on to a different arc. But I'm not interested. I'm just not interested. I'm not enjoying these comics. I'm not saying they're bad comics. They're just not floating my boat. They're just not interesting me enough for me to carry on getting them. So this is the last issue. Again, this issue, nothing really notable happens in it as far as I'm concerned. No real action. I mean, the characters, I mean, some of the characters are okay, but for the most part, it's pretty mediocre at best, is the best way I can describe it. So yeah, that's the last subscription comic I'll be getting. Any comics I buy from now on, I will be buying off eBay, and I won't be getting them from a local comic shop. But that's not to say I'm completely done with comics, because I've seen an advertisement for another comic that's coming out in a couple of months. And last year, IDW did this. Transformers 84 issue 0. Now I bought this, and this is right up my street. What it is it's a what if, a prequel to the Marvel G1 comics, which started in 1984. The storyline, it's a prequel to the events that led up to the start of the Marvel G1 comic. And basically, Megatron's rampaging across. Optimus Prime wants to stop him, but he can't think how. So what they do is they do this subterfuge, this rouge, where they send a bunch of Autobots onto a distant planet. The Decepticons follow him. They think they're up to something, so they send messages back to Megatron. Oh, the Optimus is, the Autobots are up to something. So that Megatron then decides to leave Cybertron to go and investigate this thing, and then the Autobots then leave Cybertron on the Ark to blast these meteorites, and then they get intercepted by the Decepticons and blah blah blah. The Ark crash lands on Earth millions of years ago, blah blah blah, and the G1 continuity starts. This is really good. I really enjoyed it. It's all done in the original Marvel G1 comic style, which really, really appealed to me. It's written by Simon Furman, artwork by Guido Guidi, and colours by John Paul Bove. Guys that I really trust to do a really good comic. This is brilliant. This is great. Does have some continuity errors though, because knowing the Marvel G1 comic continuity like I do, in my opinion, there's a few bits in this which don't make much sense. Sort of some continuity issues. But I'd love to take this to TFNation and get it signed by Furman, Guidi, and Bove. But apparently this has been fairly successful, and they're doing a follow-on series called Transformers 84 Secrets and Lies, which I think is a 4 or 5 issue run, which is going to be kicking off in I think April or May. I will be looking to get that, but like I said, I'll be getting those comics off eBay. I won't be getting them from my local comic shop, because they won't be able to get the comics in for me, because for whatever reason, when it comes to IDW Transformers comics, they can't cope with them. So that is that. Okay. So that was the 10th. And yes, so I'd also ordered something off Amazon. So the same day, I got Transformers. Is this guy? It's not Titans Return. This is Power of the Primes. This is Power of the Primes Legends Outback. So I said this month would be a bit of an Outback month, because I picked the G1 up at the NEC Toy Fair, and then a couple of days later I gets the Generations one. So yeah, I managed to pick him up for $11.99 or whatever it was off Amazon. So yeah, got him, and that was on Monday the 10th. Then now I had a bunch of stuff happen like one day after the other now. So that's right, yeah. So it was Tuesday the 11th. I decided to go on a Coventry toy hunt. So jumped in the car, started going around the usual haunts in Coventry. Went to Smith's, went to 2 B&M home stores, went to a couple of supermarkets. I went up to Cross Point. I went past the shell of the long since closed Toys R Us up at Cross Point in Coventry. Yeah, the corpse of Toys R Us is still there. All the signs are still up and everything, even though the car park's been blocked off. So I went to the Tesco's Metro, didn't find anything there. Went down the road to the Asda, didn't find anything there. And well, actually, no. I went to, when I was going up, I went to the first Asda. Then I went to the Cross Point at the Cross Point Tesco Metro. Didn't find anything there. And I was coming back to the second Asda, and I was in there, and I found something. Now, this is very much a case of YouTuber made me do it, because recently I'd seen Mr. Ben Waspshot doing a review on this thing a few weeks ago. Cyberverse one-step Whirl. Yeah, so I decided to get this thing. I mean, yeah, it's a one-step changer. It's got virtually no articulation on it. The arms move a little bit. That's it. That's all it does. And it's got this little grippy hand claw thing. But I love the design on it. I think it looks great, and you know, it's a one-step changer. So I mean, I like the way the things plug on the back. In fact, it's more than one step, because like you got 1, 2, and then you go shut that, and then you there we go. Oh yeah, forgot to shut the feet, that's it. There we go. And then he turns into a little blue helicopter. So yeah, and I thought, yeah, Whirl in the G1 in the Cyberverse continuity, that's great. So he's coming in the season 3 of Cyberverse. And what's interesting is, I think, now you've got Whirl, a G1 style Whirl that's appearing in Cyberverse, and yet in Rescue Bots Academy, we've got another Whirl that's a fembot, that's a female. So we've got 2 Transformers continuities running side by side with 2 different versions of the same character and their different genders. Go figure. Yeah, something weird going on there. I don't know why we've got a female Whirl in one continuity and a male Whirl in the other. So yeah, I like his design. He looks kind of like the G1 Whirl. He's got those really scrawny chicken legs. He's got the monocle with a bit of a thing. So he's got elements of the IDW Whirl and the G1 Whirl all worked into this. So it looks pretty cool. So yeah, and Ben Waspshot got it and did a really good typical review where he waxed lyrical about it like he does. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. And that arrived on the 11th. Then on the 12th, yeah, there's another figure arrived that I'd seen another Cyberverse one-step figure that was coming out. It's in a review of it by someone in America, I think it was. I think it was at Charles... what's his face? Anyway, I saw somebody review it and I thought, ooh, actually, that looks good. I'd like to get hold of that. And then when I thought about it, you know what? I've already got other versions of the mould. I've got the G1, I've got the Titans Return Titan Master, I've got the Prime Wars Trilogy version, and then I thought, how many more moulds for this character are there? I thought, well, there's the new Cyberverse one-step changer version, there's a third-party Masterpiece version from Fans Hobby, and there's a Cyberverse Beast Planet basic of this character as well. And I decided, you know, and I looked around, and these guys were pretty cheap to pick up. So I placed an order on eBay a few days before, and he arrived. And it is Cybertron Beast Planet Basic Repugnus. So this is Repugnus's toy, or his version from the Cybertron, the Unicron Trilogy show, Cybertron, where they went to the Beast Planet, where he was one of Scourge's, Predacon cronies, and yeah, so they got him. He's got his Cyber Planet key, as you can see, with the Beast Planet logo on it, and then you click it in, and this little horn springs out. Now he's only a basic figure, so he's very simplistic. He turns into like a kind of like a frilled Velociraptor. These joints on his feet are really loose. So he struggles to stand up. They're pinned legs. I don't know how I'm going to fix them, but I'll have to do a fix on them. So I got him. And I got him because I decided to character mold set collect Repugnus. So I needed this one. So I got him. He was only like $10.99. And then after buying this, I received a message from the seller saying, "Oh yeah, I'm throwing a little extra in the package for you. It's a Micromaster." So I thought, I wonder what that's going to be. Anyway, package arrived. I unwrapped it, and this was in there. This is G1 Decepticon Micromaster Hyperdrive, and unfortunately, he's got an arm missing, so he's broken. Now, the seller didn't say that the toy was broken. I mean, it's a freebie, it's a Brucey bonus. You know, it didn't cost me anything. I didn't ask for this. He just sent it. It would have been nice if he'd have let me know that the arm was broken, and it would have been even better if he could have included the broken arm as a you know, a missing piece. Though I doubt whether he had it. Now, I can repair this. I have done it before with a headmaster. I've you know, repaired a headmaster that had a missing arm. I made one out of plastic card, painted it, and sort of screwed it on, and it did the job. I reckon I could repair this if I really wanted to. So I could do it. I have got the skills to fix this thing. So I'm not that bothered about it. It's a freebie at the end of the day. It didn't cost me nothing, but I didn't ask for it. I didn't want it, but it's the thought that counts. You know, you can't really complain. He sent me this for nothing. So he came in the package with him, so got those two on that day, which was nice. So that was Wednesday the 12th. Then on Thursday the 13th, something else arrived that I'd ordered off eBay. Now, at a previous NEC Toy Fair, a December one, I got hold of a Snapdragon, but it was missing the wings, the guns, and the headmaster. So I've since got a headmaster for it. And at TFNation last year, I went to the Space Bridge and managed to get the guns for it. So I'm only missing the blue Tailwings. Now, they are kind of expensive to get spare parts for this guy, especially them wings. I mean, you got people asking like 29, 30 quid each plus postage for the wings. So I was a bit reluctant to get them. But there's this seller on eBay who's doing hand-cast reproductions, and I've bought some before. I was restoring one of my G1 Weird Wolves because I got one. Was it the last auto assembly or the first TFNation? I bought two G1 Weird Wolves. It was two bodies, one headmaster that was damaged, one sword and one gun. So there wasn't enough parts to make two complete figures. So what I did was I bought a spare headmaster. I took the two Weird Wolves apart, swapped the bits around, made one good one out of the two, and then built the second one out of all the second parts. And then I bought some a reproduction sword and a reproduction gun. I had to paint the gun to match the colours, the blue of the plastic on the figure, but I managed to do it. So I completed that guy. Now this guy needed some wings, and I think it's the same seller. I bought two replacement wings. Now, these are hand-cast reproductions. They're not perfect. They do have a few sort of rough edges. And the colour of them is a little off. It's a little pale. Because when you compare it with the green of the figure, they are a lot lighter. But, you know, they do fit. And I thought these things were ambidextrous, but they're not. They do have a slight angle to the peg. So when you fit them into the back of the figure, they do angle slightly. So they are left and right-handed. So it's a good job I got a left and a right-handed one. And these were two separate auctions for two separate wings, but he didn't say whether they were left or right-handed. But anyway, so yeah, they fit on there, and that makes my G1 Snapdragon complete. Now I am thinking about painting these to match the turquoisey blue colour of the plastic parts on the figure. It will make them look a lot better, and also make them look a bit shinier because I'll be using enamel gloss paint. It'll probably make these look a little better. But they were about, how much were they? I think they were about $10.99 each or something like that. But anyway, oh no, $5.99 plus a couple of quid postage I think they were. But anyway, so I've got them. So I've finally got my G1 Snapdragon completed. So that was something else that arrived, those two replacement wing parts. Then, next it's the 15th, which is Saturday the 15th. And I was going on about, character mold set collecting Repugnus. I noticed that somebody in eBay had got the one-step changer in stock, so I bought it. Paid about 15 quid for this, which is a lot of money for a Cyberverse one-step changer, but it's worth it. I mean, this thing's great. Robot mode looks really cool. Obviously, it's got articulation on the arms. It's got ball jointed elbows, ball jointed shoulders, and that's all the articulation it's got. Head sculpt is very yellow, but if you're looking close, he's got like a cheeky sort of, like a crooked grin on his face. It looks quite interesting. And being a one-step changer, it just flips over, and there you go, a little Repugnus with a cheeky little grin, and he's got the little the mandible grip for the gimmick. Very squat, but he looks super cute, and they come in this packaging. And the other thing is that they've got this Bumblebee Cyberverse Adventures, and then they've got the Battle for Cybertron. You've got the Cyberverse packaging now has got these two different labels on. In fact, they've got that third label, that Cyberverse Villains. But anyway, what I like about this is you can put him back in his box in such a way as hang on. Put him back in his box and have the having his claws sort of like overhanging the packaging at the front, so he looks like he's trying to climb out of it. That looks pretty cool, I think. So yeah, I've got him. So I only need one Repugnus figure now to complete my Repugnus mold set, and that's that Fans Hobby Mega Claw thing. Now there is a seller in, I think it's either Hong Kong or Shanghai in China, who's got 3 in stock and is doing them for just under 100 quid. But because of the whole, I'm not buying international parcels at the moment, I'm reluctant to pull the trigger on them. So Robot Kingdom's got some in stock as well, but when you look at the price they're doing it for, I think it's just over $100. But when you add the shipping on top of that, and the chance that it'll more than likely get a customs hit when it comes into the UK, that would whack the price of that figure up to probably like 150, 160 quid, and I'm not prepared to pay that. So yeah, it's going to be tricky to get hold of a Fans Hobby Mega Claw, but I'm going to keep looking, because I want to complete my character mold set for Repugnus now. So yeah, so that was that. Next, right. Now, eBay again. Now this next one's quite interesting. Remember a couple of years ago, I did that deal with that guy Tom Henson to buy that huge lot of bots in January of 200 odd bots for 850 quid, and I've always referred to it as the Tom Henson bot lot. Well, anyway, last year I sold off the remains of the Tom Henson bot lot. I got rid of them for the 70 odd bots I had left over from that lot, and I sold them to Mr. James Lai for 60 quid. So he got a really good deal out of it, and so they're all gone. But I was watching an animated Shockwave, because I can remember seeing an animated Shockwave at the NEC Toy Fair, but unfortunately it was incomplete. It was missing the cannon, and I didn't buy it. And then when I came round the next time, it had gone. Somebody else had bought it. But it made me think, I do really want an animated Shockwave. So I was looking on eBay, and I found somebody selling one, mint in box, for a really cheap starting price. But it was on an auction, so I thought, okay, I'm going to watch this. And then I watched it, and I watched it, and I watched it, and I put a bid of about 45 quid on it when I sniped it at the end, and I got it for about 20 odd. No, it wasn't. Was it about 28 quid plus postage? Anyway, well, actually, it comes to about 41 quid all up, which was a really good price. And it's minted box, all its accessories and everything. And it arrived on the 18th. Animated Shockwave. Yeah, finally got me an animated Shockwave. Here he is in his Decepticon mode, and he's massive. I mean, you know, put him next to leader class Megs, and he's about the same size. So he's a bit like Lockdown. Animated Lockdown goes from a deluxe sized car into an ultra class bot. You know, he just really lanky, and this guy is the same. But this guy is a faction changer because he's got his Autobot logo there, and you flip it round, and he becomes a Decepticon. So he's another one of those faction changing bots, and I do like to collect those faction changing bots. They're quite interesting. He's got this Autobot persona of Long Arm. Long Arm's another character. I've got the movie Long Arm, and I quite like him. So yeah, so I've got a bit of a tenuous attachment to the Long Arm character because of that. But obviously, you really buy this toy for the Shockwave mode. There is a purple version of this, but you know the grey one's more sort of screen accurate. So yeah, I got hold of him, and yeah, as it turns out, I got a message after buying this from the seller, and it turns out it's Tom Henson. So this is another Tom Henson bot. I mean, when I bought the stuff off him, he did say he was keeping some bots, you know, in his collection, most notably the animated stuff, but obviously he seems like he's selling off his animated bots now. So I got lucky and managed to get a mint in box animated Shockwave for just over 40 quid. So that was great, and it was awesome. It was awesome to buy something from Mr. Tom Henson again. Brilliant, absolutely fantastic. I was very surprised when I received that message from him via eBay. You know, oh, it's me, it's Tom Henson. So that was fantastic. It was, you know, if you're watching, Tom, which I think you are, you know, thanks for selling me yet another amazing figure. Nice to hear and deal with you again. Much appreciated, my good friend. And yeah, so yeah, that happened. That's something else that happened this month. Right, so now, same day, February the 18th. Now, you know, I was going on about Outback, right? G1 Outback, Pile of Primes Outback, right? Generations Outback. The reason I like Outback as a character was because of what's in here. Now, this is a Titan Box Transformers Prey. It's a collected volume of all the Marvel G1 comics, issue 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 103, 104, 135, 136, and some strips from the annual. Now, I remembered the story where Outback appeared in the Marvel G1 comic. It was called, you know, the Harder They Die, and I wanted to read that strip again. And when I looked up, I heard that that particular comic strip was in this volume of the Titans book. So I went on eBay, found this one for just over £6, shipped, which was brilliant. And then looking through it, there it is, and there he is. There he is. That's his debut in the Marvel G1 comics. There he is. Just there. You know, there he is. And it's a really good story. It's part of that arc where Optimus fakes his death and winds up on Cybertron, and then Megatron, who you know, he basically is trying to take out Megatron, and then Megatron wound up on Cybertron as well. Megatron circulated news that the Optimus on Cybertron was actually a Decepticon spy disguised as Optimus. So you know the Autobots was after him like the Wreckers were trying to take him out, and it was quite interesting. And he saved Outback's life, and then later on Outback gets injured, and Optimus you know has to try and protect him. But it's really good, and yeah. And the other good thing about this strip, this debut strip, is it's done by Jeff Senior. So I knew there was a reason why I like this story, because it's done by Jeff Senior. So yeah, awesome. So yeah, managed to get some of my Marvel G1 comic goodness back. I mean, this is very much like this. So these two go together. But this is way better than this. I mean, you can forget that. This is where it's at. I mean, the new IDW comics, like I said, not really doing it for me. But this was what I used to read back in the day, the Marvel G1, and it was great. Really nostalgic to get hold of it again and then go back in time and read it again. Where were we now? Right, time books, pray. Right, then. 21st of February. Last month, if you remember, well, the last video I did, because obviously I haven't done any videos in between, I got hold of that Mastermind Creations Ultimo, that repaint of their Alpha Bravo, was it Alpha Bravo? Not Alpha Bravo. But anyway, they did that version of Senator Ratbat, and I said in that video that I really would like to get hold of the Takara repaint of Generation Swerve as Senator Ratbat. I received a message from a certain Dorian McQuarrie, aka Vigadef, via WhatsApp. And he says, oh, I've got one of those. Are you interested in it for 35 quid? And I thought, oh, actually, yes. And it came to me at the end of the month where I had about 100 and something quid left. And there was well, the couple more figures I was looking at buying. And when I looked at it, I thought, you know what, I've got just enough money to get these last few figures and have a bit of cash left over. So anyway, so yeah, I did the deal, sent Dorian the money, and on the 21st it arrives. So yeah, now this is one of those figures that I've bought from a fellow, Transformer collector or YouTube guy. So this used to belong to Vigadef, aka Dorian McQuarrie, and love the colours on this thing. I mean, I've got the Scourge mould. I picked it up at TFNation a couple of years ago, but this version, I mean, this character just rocks this mould. These colours, this character, it just looks amazing. It really, really suits him, and the alt mode and everything. It just looks amazing. And I'd seen pictures of this thing and thought, that looks really good. I'd like to get it, and I've got it. And it's another one of those that's come from another collection. Now, I've got a few figures that I've bought from other notable YouTubers. For instance, I got this guy from Graham the Collector 75 via eBay. I got this guy from John Garringer, that guy in America. A few years ago, he had a dog called Remus who was sick with cancer, and it was costing him a small fortune, for vet bills to give his dog a quality of life in its remaining days. And of course, he had to sell off a bunch of his bots from his collection in order to pay for these vet bills. And I noticed he had a War for Cybertron Optimus Prime in stock, and I wanted one, so I bought it off him. So got him off John Garringer. And last year from Matthew Grant, the toy therapist, got hold of this Takara version of the War for Cybertron Megatron in the executive bar on the Friday night. So yeah, got hold of him. So yeah, I've bought a couple of figures from other YouTubers, and that just makes this figure that little bit more special, and I will love it and cherish it always. But no, just all joking aside, no. I mean, love the colours on this thing. I mean, if I said it, looking at it gives me a colour boner, would that mean something to you? I love the purple and the gold and the black, and it just looks amazing. And the purple's got like a metallic finish to it. It really glows in the light. Awesome head sculpt, and it's a Generation Scourge mold, so it's So it's a decent mould, and he's got the weapon storage inside the wings. Fantastic little figure. So yeah, Dorian really hooked me up there. When I said I was after one of these, he sorted me out, so that was great. Thank you, Dorian, very much. Much appreciated. And then, like I said, I was down to my last 100 and bit quid, and there's a few figures I've been looking at, including a third-party figure from Kapow. But after buying Shockwave from Tom Henson, on the packaging it's got like pictures of the other figures you could buy, and there was a figure on there, and I saw it and it reminded me of it, and it was animated Swindle. And I thought, you know what, I fancy an animated Swindle, because going back again to the 2016 TFNation, the first TFNation, where ironically enough I was selling Tom Henson bot lots on the Maximilov Toys stall. I was with James and Dave Knight, and he had some of his stuff on his side of the table that he was selling, and he had an animated Swindle on there. And I can remember picking it up and having a go with it and thinking, you know what, this is pretty good. But I didn't actually buy it for myself. I put it back on the stall and somebody else bought it. But it made me think, you know, this is a decent figure. So again, I went on eBay and I saw one. Somebody selling one loose for about 30 quid plus postage. And I was watching it because I didn't want to pull the trigger on it straight away, because it was around about that time when I was getting a lot of stuff coming in, and I wanted it to wait a couple of days before I pulled the trigger on it. Anyway, then I received a message from the seller, because I was one of two people that was watching this figure, and he gave me an offer. He says, the offer says, I will knock £5 off and sell it to you for 25 quid instead of 30 quid if you buy it now. And I was thinking about it, and I said, you know what, that other guy's bound, if he sees this offer, he's bound to pull the trigger on it. So yeah, I went bang, I pulled the trigger on it and got me an animated Swindle. Yeah, animated Swindle. He's all complete. He's got all his bits. He's got his missile launcher. There we go. He's got his missile. And yeah, he's really cool. Obviously, I've seen animated. Swindle's that typical sort of like wise guy, sort of arms dealer kind of guy, you know, isn't he? In the cartoon. So yeah, he's a really good character in the show. Gotta love Swindle. So yeah, managed to get hold of him. Amazing light piping. So yeah, got hold of him for just under 30 quid. And then the final thing. Now, this figure, a bit of a story time now with this one. Actually, this is the second time I've bought it, because I actually pre-ordered it from TFS Express back in December. And I pre-ordered it because apparently this toy was getting reissued, and TFS Express was doing it at a really good price. With the postage, it was like £79.14, which was like, well, it was under 80 quid, and this figure had retailed over 100 quid most other places you'd seen it on sale. Anyway, so I bought it. Didn't think nothing of it. And this is something I forgot to mention in last month's bot haul video, because I totally forgot about it. On the 14th of January, I received a bunch of alerts on my phone while I was at work. First of all, there was an email saying from PayPal saying, oh, I'd had £79.14 refunded to my account from what's the name of what's their YouTube, their name, from the Transbridge. That was it, the Transbridge. And I thought, what the hell's going on? And then I got a load of other emails came in quick succession. Basically, TFS Express, aka Omega Lock, aka Transbridge, it's all the same company using different names, had cancelled my pre-order and refunded me the money. And then I received the emails explaining the reasons why. Now, the figure in question is Maketoys Cross Dimension MT CD05SP Buster Stealthwing. right? It's their black version of that cross-dimension Jetfire that they did. And apparently, Maketoys had an incident where some of their employees had gone into their warehouse and were stealing products from the Maketoys warehouse. Don't know why, but anyway, employees was going into the warehouse and helping themselves to the goods, Maketoys goods, and as a result of which, TFS Express had sent an order to them, a pre-order, and they couldn't fulfill their order because the goods had gone missing, they'd been stolen. So they cancelled my pre-order because they couldn't fulfill the order. And I've also noticed that TFS Express have now heavily discounted all their Maketoys products. I think they're ditching Maketoys. They're not going to carry Maketoys anymore because of what's happened. I mean, how the hell can Maketoys... I don't know whether anybody's... I mean, apparently there was something on Facebook about it, but I'm not on Facebook, so I didn't see it. But yeah, how can Maketoys allow this to happen? Are they not paying their employees enough money that they feel the need to steal from the company they work for to make ends meet? I mean, how can they let that happen? I mean... That's awful. I mean, that is such bad press for Maketoys. And it's a shame, really, because, I've got a few Maketoys figures. They do some good stuff. I've got a few figures. I think they're, the 6th or 7th most numerous third-party product in my collection. But anyway, didn't get that. But I was still after one. And I noticed this month that Kapow had it in stock. So at the end of the month, I had enough money left, and I went and bought it. And it arrived on the 22nd, along with Swindle. Yeah. So here he is. Buster Stealthwing. Now, I've got him in his jet mode. And the reason being is because... This is the reason why I wanted this thing, because I love this jet mode. I mean, I think it looks a hell of a lot like the Quinjet from... Marvel's Avengers or the Marvel Shield Quinjet. And if you don't believe me, take a look at this picture. That's a picture of a Quinjet. Doesn't it look similar? I mean, obviously it's got these big cannons on the top, and the cockpit design's slightly different, but it's got these dipped wings down the sides. It's a dead ringer for it, and I love that about it. And that's the reason why I got it. So yeah, I've got him in his jet mode. Now, when it arrived, he comes in robot mode, and he's a bit of a parts former because the wing pack's separate and the guns are separate, and there's all these bits you have to plug onto it to make both the robot and the jet mode. It also combines with the Striker Manus, or in my case, the Striker Noir, so I can combine it with my Striker Noir and make a like a jet wing Striker Noir if I wanted to. But anyway, so I tried to transform it. And yeah, I had a bit of a game transforming it. Now I did that usual thing where I transformed it without instructions, no how-to videos. I just winged it, and when you look underneath, you've got the legs here. Here are the feet. Here are the legs, and then the arms. Now you've got this big gaping hole in the middle, and you'd think that these things should fold into there to fill in that void, but they don't, because there's no cutouts on these spars here. And this thing, plugging it together, it's under tension. You have to really sort of squeeze it together to get it to peg in, and then you have to sort of hook in the panels on the back. And this thing's under so much tension. If I was to detach it, it would just go boing and spring open. I had a right game transforming this thing. When I looked at the instructions afterwards, I noticed I'd missed a couple of steps with the feet, and I think I might have done the transformation in the wrong order to what it's supposed to be done, and that's probably why I had the trouble that I had. But that said, I had a bad experience transforming it, basically. So that reduced my it sort of downgraded my opinion of this figure slightly. But saying that, since then, this thing's been sat in my room because I've still got that box at the bottom of my bed that I used to use a couple of years ago. Remember, I used to do that what you got this month, World and Assad, a big cardboard box. I put all my monthly acquisitions into this box, and I've had him sat on top of this box, and I just can't keep picking him up and, you know, sort of messing around with him. So yeah, he's sort of crept back up, in my opinion, actually. And I love the look of this thing. It's just getting into this mode is such a pain in the arse. So yeah, that was the last thing that I got this month. Now, there is one more thing I want to mention before I go. Should have mentioned it early in the video. On Saturday the 15th of February, obviously the TFNation tickets went online at 12 midday. Now, I tried to buy my tickets after the 12 o'clock launch, and as in the previous 2 years, my initial ticket application glitched or crashed. It didn't work, and I didn't have the patience to sit there and try over and over and over again. Last year they said that's part of what screwed it up, because people were refreshing the page and making it worse, so I decided not to do that, so I quit out. Came back on in the evening, about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening. My ticket application went through okay, but then it came to booking the hotel room. Of course, the little link comes up saying click on this link to the Hilton, you know, website and, you know, book your room. So it comes up, set your dates, set how many people you want, how many rooms you want, how many people, blah blah blah, and it's got the Transformers code in there. Press accept. I'm sorry, these rooms are not available for the dates you've given. So yeah, all the rooms have gone. No room at the inn, not at the reduced TFNation rate. Anyway, I could book a single room at the Hilton for the dates that I want, which is the Friday and the Saturday. However, at the Hilton's regular rate, it's £214 per day. £214 per day. That's like, for a 2-night stay, that's nearly... No, 214, that was it. Yeah, it's nearly £430 for a 2-night stay. I am not doing that. So needless to say, I'm currently I'm not booked into any hotels. So I've got a ticket to go to the event, a weekend ticket, but I've got nowhere to stay. So I've got two options open to me. I can either book a hotel room in one of the other hotels that are clustered around Birmingham Airport, or I can do the daily commute from home, because I live only 15 miles away from the NEC and the Hilton, and it only takes me probably about 35-40 minutes to commute backwards and forwards, so I can do that. Now the commute isn't ideal. I will be operating out of the car rather than a hotel room when I'm on site, and also it's the car parking fee, because the Hilton, they charge an absolute fortune. If you're a visitor to the hotel during the day, they charge you an absolute fortune for parking your car in their car park. I can remember going back to the 2014 Auto Assembly when I visited my first, convention at the Hilton. I only went there on the Saturday. My car was parked in their car park for about 9 hours, and it cost me about 28 quid. So you can imagine if my car's in there for like, sort of 6-7 hours on the Friday, and then like 10 to 12 hours on the Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, I'm going to get hit with a massive parking bill. But it will still be cheaper than booking the hotel room. But like I said, it will be inconvenient because I'll be working out of the car. I mean, if you want to nip back to the room to get something, you can't, because your room is the car and the car park. So yeah, it's not an ideal situation. I might be able to bring a change of clothes and change in the car, but again, not an ideal situation. So yeah, there's that. So that's one option that I've got. The other option is booking into an alternative hotel. Looking at all the hotels round about, the one that's sort of favourite at the moment is the Arden Hotel, which is, you go round when you walk to Resort World round the pond, round the lake. The Arden is apparently a similar sort of distance but the other side of the railway line. It's like, I think it's like 0.4 of a mile from the Hilton or something like that, or just under half a mile from the Hilton. So it will be quite a walk to get from the Hilton to the Arden if I have a room in the Arden. The only thing about the Arden Hotel, free parking, so it wouldn't cost me anything to park my car there. So there is that. But yeah, so I haven't booked a room. I haven't booked a room any hotels. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. I'm going to TFNation, but as for am I staying there, I don't know. So there is that. So that's something I wanted to add at the end. I mean, I wanted to add it in on the the 15th, but I just thought I'd add it in at the end. Anyway, so yeah, so that's my haul video. 1 hour 12 minutes. Yeah, I said it was going to be a long one. A lot of chitty chatty talky in this one. So now, first and worst. Now, I think the worst figure is pretty obvious. I've been struggling with the first, but in recent days, my opinion of this figure has improved, and I really like the Alt mode. So, first and worst. So yeah, first, I mean, like I said, love the Alt mode on this thing. The transformations, I had a bit of a bitch with the transformation, but once you get it into Alt mode, it's all right, and the robot mode's fine. I can't fault the robot mode, but yeah, so him is my favourite thing, and of course, buyer's regret, leader class Studio Series Megatron. Yeah, hate it. Hate it. Had a real nightmare of a time trying to transform this thing into truck mode, and damaged some of the pegs in the process so it won't plug together properly. So yeah, and he's my worst figure I got this month. So that's it. Yeah, again, sorry for not doing any reviews this month. If you'd like me to do reviews of more normal Transformer figures, I can certainly do it. However, as in recent years, I've noticed that when I do a review of a third-party figure or an official Transformer figure, they don't get as many views as my KTRT reviews. That's why I tend not to do them. So I could do other videos to pad things out, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. The virus thing going on in the East is still there, and it's still going to be it's still going to be an ongoing situation for at least another couple of months. So next month, I doubt I'll be sending out for any international parcels again. So that's been me, TFR Wilderness. I'm sorry it's a big, long, rambly haul video this month. Hopefully it makes up for the lack of videos I've done this month, but I don't know. Anyway, so that's been me, TFR Wilderness. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you all next time. Ta-da.
Big blue egg. This is a